Many traveling circuses in the 1800s and 1900s saw humans with weird physical deformities or rare talents as a way to make a quick buck. Spectators would flock to see these sideshows as these humans with strange conditions were put on display and labeled freak shows. So join us for this special video as we look at the 15 incredible circus freaks that actually existed. Number 15. George Liippard. George was born in Germany in 1844 with 2 functioning hearts and a fully developed third leg. The additional limb extended from his right pelvis, though it wasn't entirely working. Liippard claimed both hearts were confirmed by medical examinations, though some remained skeptical. He began performing in the 1860s as the Three-Legged Man, appearing in traveling circuses and dime museums across Europe and the US. Unlike other acts focused purely on shock, Liippard took pride in storytelling. He explained his anatomy in detail and carried himself with quiet dignity. Though his fame was strong at first, the arrival of more extreme acts in later years pushed him into obscurity. Tragically, he lost his extra leg to gangrene and struggled with poverty in his final years. He died in 1906, largely forgotten. Still, Liippard's life remains a testament to a man who embraced what made him rare and shared it with the world on his own terms. Number 14. Thomas Weders. Thomas Weders, also known as Thomas Wadhouse, was an English sideshow performer who lived during the 18th century. He gained notoriety for having what remains to this day the world's longest recorded nose, measuring a staggering 7.8 inches in length. Though not much is known about his early life, Thomas found fame by showcasing this bizarre facial feature throughout Yorkshire and the surrounding regions. His nose was so unusual that it earned him a wax replica at Ripley's Believe It or Not museums, cementing his status as a historical oddity. In an era when physical differences often meant exclusion or ridicule, Weders turned his into a source of income. Audiences were simultaneously amused and bewildered by his appearance. Though accounts describe him as intellectually limited, there's no denying that his name still lingers in the annals of circus lore. Weders' legacy, while odd, represents the strange ways human uniqueness was commercialized for mass entertainment in early freak show culture. Number 13. Jacob Knackan. Jakob was born in Dusseldorf in 1906 and stood an incredible 7 feet 3 inches tall, making him the tallest German soldier during World War II. Before the war, he had a thriving career in circuses across Europe and the US, billed as Germany's giant. His towering frame and gentle nature made him a crowd favorite long before his military service. During the war, Knackan was conscripted into the Wehrmacht, but his service was short-lived. In 1944, near Calais, France, he surrendered to a much shorter British corporal named Bob Roberts, who stood only 5 feet 3 inches tall. The photo of their encounter became legendary, symbolizing the surreal contrasts that war often produced. After the war, Knackan moved to the US and returned to show business, eventually performing as Santa Claus at department stores. Despite his size, Knackan was known for his kind nature, and he spent his life bridging 2 different worlds, conflict and carnival. Number 12. Madame Gustika. Madame Gustika was the stage name given to a beautiful woman from an Ethiopian tribe where lip stretching was a traditional form of beauty and identity. Stretched lips, formed using decorative plates, were seen as symbols of status, maturity, and cultural pride. Gustika, who had undergone this rite of passage, was brought to New York in the 1930s and exhibited as a sideshow attraction. On April 12, 1930, she was photographed smoking a pipe on stage, an image that would later become iconic for its visual clash between tribal tradition and Western spectacle. Though presented through a colonialist lens at the time, Gustika's presence challenged audiences unfamiliar with non-Western customs. Her lip plate was not a deformity, but a cultural practice rooted in meaning. While her story has often been reduced to a single image, it's important to recognize the deeper narrative. A woman displaced from her community, displayed as exotic, yet still standing in quiet defiance and dignity. She was one of a kind. Number 11. World's largest woman and smallest man. In July 1922, the American sideshow scene showcased one of its most striking contrasts. Nellie Blanche Lane, who weighed 642 pounds, and Clarence Chesterfield Howerton, standing only 2 feet 4 inches tall. Their act was marketed as the world's largest woman and smallest man. Clarence, a child performer at the time, would later be known for his role as one of the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. Nellie, towering beside him in photographs, drew just as much attention for her immense size and charisma. Together, they became a spectacle rooted in juxtaposition, blending innocence with exaggeration. Their photo shoot wasn't just for the crowds, it was designed for press coverage, driving ticket sales through shock and awe. While Clarence went on to act and tour in other productions, Nellie's fate is less documented. What remains is the powerful image of them side by side. Two people who, despite being reduced to their bodies, helped define an era obsessed with extremes and spectacle. This duo was great. Number 10. Priscilla Lauther. Priscilla Bahano was born April 26, 1911, in Puerto Rico with hypertrichosis, a rare condition that caused thick hair to grow across her entire body. When she was 3, her father brought her to New York, hoping doctors might explain her unusual appearance. That journey led her to Carl Lauther, a kind-hearted showman who saw something special in her and helped launch her career in sideshows. Though uneasy at first, she became known as the Monkey Girl, a name she disliked but couldn't shake. Dressed in a custom fur coat, she charmed crowds with her gentle smile and unusual appearance. In the 1930s, she met Emmett Bayano, famously known as the alligator-skinned man. Despite their unique challenges, the two fell in love, married, and became one of the most beloved couples in sideshow history. Their union turned public curiosity into something deeper, an enduring love story that captivated audiences far beyond the spotlight. Number 9. Mademoiselle Gabrielle. Mademoiselle was born in Switzerland in 1884 with sacral agenesis, a rare condition that left her without fully developed legs. Despite her lower body condition, her torso was perfectly proportioned, with refined posture, delicate facial features, and an elegance that left audiences stunned. Marketed as the half-woman, Gabrielle entered the European sideshow circuit as a teenager and quickly became a standout. Her charm and poise redefined how people viewed physical difference. In the early 1900s, she joined Barnum and Bailey's Greatest Show on Earth in the U.S., performing in ornate gowns and showcasing skills like embroidery and piano playing. Often photographed in formal poses, she refused to be seen as grotesque. Instead, she embraced dignity, beauty, and independence. She rejected pity, insisting that her presence be associated with sophistication, not tragedy. Gabrielle eventually retired from public life, but her impact remained. Her story stands as one of quiet defiance, reminding the world that elegance comes in all forms. Number 8. Jean Libera. Born in Rome in 1884, Jean Libera became famously known as the man with the parasitic twin. Emerging from his chest was the partial body of a conjoined twin, complete with a face, one arm, and an underdeveloped torso. While the twin had no consciousness or movement, its lifelike appearance made Jean a rare medical anomaly and a major draw in sideshow circuits. His condition, known as parasitic twinning, blurred the line between human spectacle and biological mystery. But Jean never leaned into shock. He presented himself with dignity, traveling across Europe and later the United States. Always well-dressed, he carried himself with quiet poise and never let his condition define his worth. Medical experts often requested to examine him, but Jean guarded his boundaries closely. Very little is known about his personal life, yet his story remains unforgettable. A rare glimpse into the complexities of identity, spectacle, and autonomy in an era that often confused fascination with exploitation. Number 7. General Might. Francis Joseph Flynn, known as General Might, was born in 1864 in New York and grew to just 21 inches tall in adulthood. Touted as one of the smallest men alive, he began performing at a young age, touring internationally across the US, UK, and Australia. He often wore very decorated military-style uniforms and was placed next to oversized props to amplify the illusion of scale. Despite being treated as a curiosity, Flynn had a witty, confident stage presence that charmed audiences worldwide. In 1884, he married Millie Edwards, a fellow English dwarf, in a ceremony that made international headlines. Their wedding wasn't just about spectacle. It was a public celebration of love, resilience, and grace. Later in life, Flynn moved to Australia, where he sought peace away from the spotlight. He died in 1898 from tuberculosis. Remembered not just for his stature, but for how he carried it, General Might left behind a legacy of dignity and self-assurance. Number 6. Robert Melvin. Robert, often known as the Man with Two Faces, was born on May 9, 1920, in Missouri, and stood out from birth due to a severe case of neurofibromatosis. The condition caused large fibrous tumors, mainly on the right side of his face, which led to early exclusion from public schooling. Despite that, he received a full education and was known in his community for being sociable, witty, and optimistic. By 1949, Robert found a home in Coney Island's sideshow scene. His unique appearance drew crowds, but what made him memorable was his warmth and intelligence. He also served as the show's accountant, a rare dual role that reflected his sharp mind and trustworthiness. Off-stage, Robert was deeply loved by family, neighbors, and fellow performers alike. He never saw his appearance as a burden, but as part of what made him whole. His story is one of quiet endurance, professional respect, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. Number 5. Betty Lou Williams. Betty Lou Williams was born in Georgia in 1932 with ischiopagus, a condition where a parasitic twin was attached to her pelvis. The twin had developed legs, arms, and functioning internal organs, but no independent brain activity. Doctors ruled out any surgical separation due to the high risk to Betty Lou's life. Raised by a foster family, she began appearing in sideshows as a young girl, earning the title, the Two-in-One Girl. Unlike many performers, Betty Lou took a more educational approach. She explained her condition with clarity and often spoke about her daily challenges and routines. Touring throughout the 1940s and 50s, she gained financial independence and became a respected figure in the sideshow world. Eventually, she left performing to live a quiet, private life. Her strength and refusal to be defined by her condition helped shift how such performers were viewed. Betty Lou's legacy remains one of resilience, grace, and personal agency under constant public scrutiny. All right, now, let's head over to Number 4. Lucia Zarate. Lucia Zarate, born in 1864 in Veracruz, Mexico, holds the record as one of the smallest fully developed humans in history. She stood 24 inches tall and weighed just 4 pounds as an adult. Diagnosed with Majewski osteodysplastic primordial dwarfism type 2, her bones remained incredibly small and fragile throughout her life. Despite that, Lucia was alert, sharp, and charismatic on stage. By age 12, she had already become a popular act in the United States, performing at dime museums and exhibitions under the title, The Smallest Living Woman. Her stage presence was marked by poise and precision, often surprising audiences with her lively expressions and quick gestures. But behind the spotlight, her life was grueling. In 1890, while traveling by train to a Colorado performance, she became stranded during a blizzard. With no proper heat, she died of exposure at just 26 years old. Though small in stature, Lucia's impact on circus history was undeniably vast and deeply moving. Number 3. Elizabeth Green. Green, aka the Stork Woman, was born in the late 1800s with uniquely avian-like features, a long, narrow nose and pointed chin. Promoters capitalized on her striking look by giving her a stage name that stuck throughout her career. She performed with major shows like Ringling Brothers, often costumed in feathered outfits that emphasized her bird-like image. But Elizabeth was far more than a visual novelty. Offstage, she was sharp, humorous, and highly independent. She handled her own finances, negotiated contracts, and sustained a long, consistent career in an industry that rarely offered women such control. Her acts were usually paired with other sideshow performers, yet she always stood out for her confidence and business savvy. While she might not be as well remembered today, her decades-long presence in circus history speaks volumes. Elizabeth Green wasn't just a performer shaped by spectacle. She was a woman who turned that spectacle into personal strength, control, and longevity on her own terms. Number 2. Millie and Christine McCoy. Millie and Christine were born into slavery in 1851 in North Carolina, physically conjoined at the lower spine and pelvis. Marketed early on as the two-headed nightingale, their early years were marked by exploitation, bought and sold multiple times as infants. Eventually, they came under the care of Joseph Pearson Smith, a wealthy merchant who saw their potential and invested in their future. Under his guardianship, they were educated in languages, music, and public performance. The twins toured internationally, performing intricate vocal duets and piano pieces, and even met Queen Victoria. After emancipation, they returned to North Carolina, bought their family's former home, and lived with independence and pride. Though they began life as sideshow attractions, they eventually gained full control of their careers and finances. Millie and Christine passed away in 1912, just 17 hours apart. Their legacy is a story of unity, survival, and reclaiming identity in a weird world that tried to reduce them to a novelty. Number 1. The Legless Acrobat. Eli Bowen was born with phocomelia, a condition that left his legs severely underdeveloped, with his feet attached near his hips. Rather than hiding from the world, Bowen embraced physical performance, training himself in acrobatics using only his arms and upper body. Dubbed the Legless Acrobat, he began performing at 13, stunning crowds with handstands, pole climbs, and even firing rifles using his feet. He toured internationally with major acts like Cooper, Bailey and Company, and Barnum and Bailey. Bowen wasn't just talented, he was innovative, often teaming up with other performers to create unforgettable routines. Off stage, he led a full life. In 1875, he married Anna M. Statham, and they raised 4 sons. Known for his sharp wit and strong views on disability rights, Bowen refused to let physical limitations define him. Instead, he built a career, a family, and a legacy grounded in sheer determination, skill, and an unwavering sense of self-worth. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.